Service events. I have about 15 minutes with you guys. I've been instructed to make sure we stay on time. So the way I break this down is into 4 sections, and this is a good way for you guys to kind of audit each section of the service event to see where you maybe have the most room for improvement. So the way I kind of look at it is there's the mental mindset piece. It's like pillar number 1. There's the preparation of everything leading up to the event itself. That's pillar number 2. There's your flow, so just how the day goes, the flow of it. And then the last piece is the skill set, the skill, working with each customer individually. And so Curtis and Matt are coming up right after me, so I'm not going to touch on certain pieces into too much detail, but I definitely want to cover some points that I feel have had like the biggest impact in my service event CPO production. And so I'll start with mindset. And I think the big piece when it comes to service events is treating it like an actual event. Really giving it level 10 energy when you have them prepared. I think sometimes it's easy to kind of cut corners and not give it 100% or just be okay with 3 or 4 appointments for the day. And shifting that mindset into, you know what, if I'm gonna pay for a hotel, potentially pay for a sharpener, if I'm gonna spend all day there, I wanna make sure I'm maximizing the entire day. And really that comes with like respecting your own time and energy that you're putting into it. So for me, one just small mental shift I think you guys can make for yourselves is what is the minimum number of appointments that you're 100% committed to no matter what if you have a service event booked? Having standards. For me, it's, hey, I wanna have bare minimum 7 appointments. And by the way, I only do single day service events. So my averages, those are all single days. I've never done a 2-day service event. I know some people, Nick Snyder, he's a big fan of those. And to each their own, but for me, if I do a service event, it's 1 day, and I wanna make sure bare minimum I have 7 appointment slots filled. That's like as a baseline. And so what is it for you? I would encourage you guys to probably have the same number, mostly because we know that you can drive around your area and get about 5 appointments in. So if you're gonna pay for the hotel and have more costs associated with it, with marketing, it probably makes sense to increase that number a little bit more. So that's just on the mindset piece. On the preparation part, one thing that I do is I normally plan out all my service events for the entire campaign. And once I have all the dates and locations picked out, I start the entire marketing process. I get with Fast Action, I get with Nicole, my assistant, and I make sure everything gets put into place. So getting the Calendly links booked, making sure that all the marketing, the emails, the text, I get all of those queued up essentially before the campaign starts or as quickly as possible, so that way it's on autopilot. Another like common mistake I think CSPs make is they have the service event in their schedule and then it's not until like a week out and they realize they still need to get their emails in, get their text out, and they're kind of doing everything last minute. So my encouragement to you is if you create a system where it's like, hey, summer campaign starts in May, so by first week of April, I want to make sure I have all my service events like locked down as far as like dates go. I got my marketing in place, so that way you just have to worry about showing up and executing on those service events. A couple other another standard I have when it comes to when I do these, when I look at the radiuses of a specific location, my bare minimum is 200 people. So typically I'm looking for somewhere in the 200 to 500 range when I'm querying a list off my CRM. I really don't go below 200 unless it's in a very remote area and I haven't been there for a really long time. And I'm, again, committed to making sure that I get at least 7 appointments booked. But I find for myself, if you have 250 of those, you probably won't have cell phones for them, maybe even more. Emails, you won't have emails for them, so it's important to make sure you have like a buffer. And for me, 200 is like my threshold. Another rule that I have, and again, this is just for me personally, it might be different for your territory based on how densely populated you are, but I don't do more than, except for one, there's one exception to this rule, but for every other area, I don't do any location more than twice a year. And so the intention behind that is to create a little bit of urgency and scarcity for the customer. So it's anywhere between once a year, twice a year, and then there's one location I'll do 3 times a year, and that's just because of how many shows and how densely populated my customer list is in that area. Vernon shared this in the $1 Million Breakout, but there's 3 things that you guys can all do to ensure you maximize your appointment schedule. And again, sorry, Curtis, if I'm touching on anything that you're going to touch on. I just want to make sure all of it, mention this, is when you send out a text to 200 people, the chances are there's about 25 to 50% of those people who aren't actually receiving the text message. So have the discipline for either you or an assistant to call the people that aren't receiving the text message. It's a great way to do like a CRM cleanup, and it's also a great way to get people aware of the service event. Emails, as we know, don't always work. People have thousands of emails. And so if you try to send a text to somebody and they're not getting the text message, it's almost like not really having the full customer there. So making those active calls to home numbers and making them aware of the event is an easy way to help fill your schedule a little more. The biggest piece, and this is what I've shared with my mentees, is call the top 40 people in that area based on lifetime CPO. So when it comes to the people that you want in the seats of those service events, it's the people who've purchased the most amount of Cutco. And so those are the people that you should carve out time to actually make phone calls to. And then the last little tip here when it comes to preparation is sending out a text message from your personal cell phone for anyone who's already booked, and just say, hey, really looking forward to seeing you. By the way, I have a few extra slots open. Do you know anybody who owns Cutco that would appreciate being able to be invited to this private event and get their knives serviced? And so everyone who owns Cutco knows someone else who owns Cutco, and it's, again, easy way, low-hanging fruit. Send out 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 text messages and be able to help create extra CPO opportunities. Structurally, I do my service events from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. I do 40-minute time slots between each one, so I think that can max me out at about 15 slots. And that was just one tip. I was averaging, I think 1 year ago or 2 years ago, I was averaging about $6,000 per service event. And I was looking at my numbers, and I thought to myself, well, how do I go from 6 to 7,500 in 2024? And I was like, well, I already have a $1,000 average order, so there's not that much room to grow there. But I'm noticing I'm only getting 6 orders per service event. So if I just open up the time slots a little bit wider and just get one more customer filled, I'll be able to have an extra order. And that's exactly what happened. I went from 6 orders to 7 orders, and then I went from $6,000 to $7,400 per service event. So sometimes, sucking it up, getting up a little early, driving an hour to that service event. And again, this goes back to my point number 1 around making it an event. Just fully commit. Most of my service event days, I'm waking up at like 5:30 a.m., out of the house by 6:30 at the latest, and driving wherever I need to be to my service event. And I don't get home till 8 o'clock. So they're long days, but I only did 33 last year. So if I can commit to really making those 33 service events the best that I can possibly make them, then it'll be worth it. Wow, time's going by fast here. Okay, so when it comes to the flow of everything, I recommend a sharpener. I know there's different perspectives on this. The reason why I recommend a sharpener is I want to be able to maximize my entire time working with each customer. And so I don't want 20 minutes to sharpen and then 10, 15 minutes to sell Cutco. I want 40 minutes to sell Cutco. And that might be one of the reasons why my averages are where they are, is I have more time per customer to sell, to upserve, to paint a picture. And so, yes, it costs an extra, $100, $150, maybe some Cutco bucks, incentives to have like a sharpener there, but being able to have a sharpener there so you can prioritize your customers and still make sure the customer feels like they're being taken care of with the sharpener there is important. I always build up my sharpener. So when they walk in, it's like, hey, you found the place okay? Awesome. By the way, this is Ryan. He's I bring him to all my sharpening events. I've trained him in the arts of Cutco sharpening. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is sharpen everything you brought. Straight edges, serrated ones. If there's anything damaged or broken, we're gonna go ahead and package those up for you, send them back to Cutco, and we're gonna get those fully serviced. I personally pay for the shipping to get it out there. I'll cover the shipping to get it there, and then they'll get them replaced for you. While he's working on that, why don't you swing over here to my pop-up Cutco store? And let me see if I can't entice you with something you don't have. So I say that straight out of the gate. Hey, come over to my pop-up Cutco store. Let me see if I can't entice you with something you don't have. And the reason why I say that is because I know the husband told the wife on the way there, like, oh, he's gonna try to sell you something, blah, blah, blah. So I want to talk about the pink elephant in the room, which is like, yes, I'm here to show you something, show you new products. And by doing that, it kind of just brings more transparency, more openness to the interaction, and through that, obviously, lowers their barrier to entry. And then once they sit down, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty much Cutco's entire Cutco website, but in person. So you got your own private showing of everything that Cutco makes. By the way, have you ever been to a sharpening event before? No, first time. So I always like to kind of explain. The way these events kind of came about is before this, the only way to really get your knife sharpened is you had to mail them back to the factory. And as great of a warranty as that is, one of the downsides is that you're without your knives for 2, 3, and sometimes 4 weeks. And so it makes it difficult to obviously cook. You got to pay for shipping. You got to go to the post office. There's all these extra steps. And so what we as a community decided to do is started to host these private sharpening events where customers can drive, 10, 15, 20 minutes, get their knives professionally sharpened here on the spot, send back ones that are damaged, and we basically take care of the entire process for you. And the reason why I explain that is is building value with yourself, with your service, with your customers, so they feel taken care of. They feel like you're going above and beyond for them. So by the way, Mrs. Jones, like Cutco's not paying for this room. Like this is something I'm paying out of pocket to really make sure that I can provide you the best possible service. So that's my, kind of like transition. And then the last piece I'll say is when they sit down, the biggest framework that I have is I have my whole display. At the very front, I have the Vast Action Cutco Kitchen special sheet, the one that's like normally 15 grand, discounted to 12. And I'm like, so the first thing I want to show you, Mrs. Jones, this is our Cutco Kitchen. This is what all of my customers work towards eventually. It's really designed to be able to get rid of everything else in your kitchen and have everything Cutco, everything American made, everything guaranteed forever. So there's 4 main pillars. There's your knives. Now in your case, you have the basic set. So we actually have a program we offer where you can upgrade your set, get you the pieces you don't have. So I can definitely talk a little bit further about that. We have our flatware, which has been around for years. It's amazing, beautiful, US made, same warranty as the knives. Most people get this because they realize they've had the same flatware since they were married, mix-matched, hodgepodge collection, and they love the idea of being able to get one nice complete set that's American made and guaranteed forever. We also have our pots and pans. Our pans have been around for even longer than the knives. US made, guaranteed. The main reason why people buy our Cutco cookware is because they realize how great the knives are and that their pans, they have like a hodgepodge collection, or they have Teflon or nonstick, and they want to be able to clean all that out and just get one nice complete matching set. And then of course, last but not least, is our accessory package. And our accessory package is designed to clean out the drawer and get everything Cutco. So here's the key question, you guys, if you're going to write anything down, is looking at this Cutco kitchen, if you were to rank these things in order of interest, how would you rank them? And what that does is it gives them the ability to kind of pick and choose what they think is most, interested for themselves. And they're going to tell you not only what is number one, but through their explanation, you're gonna be able to see how interested they are in the flatware or the cookware or the accessories. So they might say, well, for sure the upgrade, like we definitely want to look at the knives. We just bought pans, so I think we're good there. Flatware maybe, and then the accessories. So like knives 1, flatware 2, accessories 3, cookware 4. Great. And so you know where to focus first, but also where to focus second. And that's where you can create the opportunity to have those bundle packages, being able to get like knives and cookware, or knives and flatware, or any kind of combination. So that's what I got, and I can answer any other questions at the end. Thank you.